the previous activity, we only did the inverse of the function. But now they want us to do the domain, the intercepts, as well as the range. So let's see how we solve that, learners. Right. So first things first, let's rewrite our equation, which is f of x equals to 2x minus 3. So I rewrite this, learners, like that, because one of the steps is to make y the subject of the formula. So the first step, learners, is to interchange x and y. So we're going to interchange these two variables. So this is going to become x equals to 2y minus 3. The next step, learners, is to make y the subject of the formula. Therefore, we're going to say x minus plus 3 is equal to 2y. And x plus 3 divided by 2 will be equal to y. So therefore, y is equal to x over 2 plus 3 over 2. So now, learners, this is the inverse of my function, but I need to write it as function notation before I can move on. So this is now the inverse of that function there. So I must write it as in function notation, and I write it like this. Okay. Right, learners. So now I have my two functions. There's the one function, learners. There's the inverse of that function. Okay, so we now need to go and we need to plot these two on the same system of axes. Okay, so let's have a look. So I already have it here for you guys. So the first equation is y equal to 2x minus 3, and that is where that graph lies. The next graph, learners, would be the inverse, which is y over x over 2 plus 3 over 2, and that is where that graph lies. Now let's see about which line this is, learners, and then we can clearly see it is about the line y equal to x. Okay, and now we need to go and determine our intercepts. Now our intercepts will be fairly easy to determine, learners, because we are going to look, just basically make x and y equal to 0 in order to determine that. And there's our intercept, learners. There's another intercept there, and there's another intercept there as well. Okay, so let's go back and see what our intercept should look like. Okay, so for my domain, let's start with my domain. Okay, the domain of f would be x, for x is an element of all real numbers, right? And that will be my domain. My range of f is y, for y is an element of all real numbers, and that's my range. Okay, and for my intercepts, of f, I'm going to get 0 and negative 3, and I'm going to get 3 over 2 and 0. How do I get that, learners? For this, I make x equal to 0, and for this, I make y equal to 0. Right? I think that's clear, learners. Okay? And now this is for that function. Right? Now we need to find our domain and our range for the inverse of that function. So now, learners, write out our domain, our range, okay, our domain of the inverse, okay, and our range of the inverse. Right? I hope that's clear. Such that x is an element of all real numbers, and for my range y, such that y is an element of all real numbers. And for my intercepts, learners, I am going to make x and y 0 respectively. So my intercepts for my inverse would be 0 and 3 over 2 and negative 3 over 0. And how do I get my intercepts? I make x and y 0 respectively. I hope that's clear, learners. And